Hi everyone, in this video I will help you to walk through the whole process of changing the cutting head pile for the electric tufting gun. And some advice in advance is, first, don't rush through wanting to change the pile height and the loop head, because you need to get a feel after using this gun for a long period of time of what is a good tuft surface, what is the correct way that this gun vibrates and how it feels in your hand. To have enough practice on a new gun is the only way to get it. There's no other way. There's no tutorial to help you to understand what is a properly functional gun unless you have holding in your hand for a long period of time and trying different way of holding it to get the best result. This we have go through in the previous video already. And secondly, if you really decided to change the pile height, I want you to be patient and don't panic if things doesn't feel right. This gun is really steady. It's almost impossible to break, but you have to be patient to make sure all the screws are screwed really tight, that you didn't rush through any steps. And this gun also requires you to go back sometimes and redo some parts or make small adjustments on the bearing arm. And there is no other way unless you are willing to put in the time and effort in doing so. Okay, so to start, you need some tools. Some are used very frequently, but some are just for reference. You need a screwdriver, you need a plier and a ruler, but most importantly, you need two different hexagonal screw opener. I will put its exact size on our website or in the video description. And these two are really important in opening 80% of the gun's part. Okay. From our scissor head opening and closing video, you should already be able to move the gun manually without using the electricity. So what you do is, I'm a right-hander, so I'm holding the gun with my right hand, and you can see the guard is lifted. When the guard is lifted, it means that there's nothing to stop this wheel from turning. So you can move the two wheels simultaneously without any problems. And this is really important because during the whole process, you won't need to plug in your gun, but you need to be able to move all the parts manually to check and get the best result you want. While you are changing the while you are changing the wheel, you should be able to observe that the scissor and the steel needle alternate itself and comes out. So you see here, now it's a needle head coming out. And now the more I turn, the scissor come out and it closes at the top. And this time, please, I am turning to my left side. And please observe this arm's connection with the steel needle. As you can see, as I move the, as I'm turning the wheel, this left side's bearing arm and the steel needle come back and going forward at the same time, because on the left side's arm, it controls the position of the steel needle. And onto the other side, please look at this arm bearing's position in relation to the scissor. So it is really important to understand that the left side controls the needle and the right side controls the scissors. And after this, I want you to see closely into the needle and looking at the scissor inside. So when the scissor head comes inside, it's completely open. I'm actually showing you the state that the scissor head is opening to the largest extent. I'm gonna take a photo. This is when the scissor opens to the largest extent. And when I'm moving it to the front, to the most frontal position here, you can see that the scissor head is closed. And these two ideal states are what we are trying to achieve once we've changed the pilot head and want to make the rest of the gun in according to it. So let's start to change the pilot head and all the rest of the setting with it. Don't panic, it's gonna be fine. So what you need to do is looking at here. When the wheel aligns with the arm bearing, it's in a single line. And when the arm bearing is in the front, this is when the scissor head comes to the most frontal position. And when you turn the wheels and make the arm bearing all the way to the back, but at the same time still align with the wheel, like here. So it's also in the same line, but instead of the arm being the front, now it's at the back. In this stage, the scissor is all the way inside to the largest. At the same time, the needle is at its most outside position. So the first step to change the scissors cut pile length, turn the machine to its bottom to looking at here. till you can see a screw. This is, here it is. What you need to do is simply to unscrew it and take out the screw. And don't forget where you put it. And after that, I want you to bring the scissor all the way to the front, meaning turning the bearing wheel all the way to the front so that the wheel aligns, it's in the same line with the bearing arm. And you can see that the scissor is all the way out. And then, since you're already taking out the screw that's controlling the height of the scissor, you need to take, I'm taking a ruler, and you need to tap the spring next to the scissor. The spring is this one. You can actually move it freely with the help of a harder object, like this. Now I'm just simply moving this spring, and this spring controls how much the scissor cuts. And you can set it to any distance from 8 to 17. And for the demonstration's sake, I am gonna set it to 15 today. This is where the ruler comes handy. And why I'm tapping with a scissor is if you want the pile head to be exact, you need to be very careful of how much you're tapping. And it's much easier than using your hand to adjust it. So I change it little by little to the point that I think it's good. And I will show this in an image that the pile head is not this distance from the spring to the head of the scissor, but is from the spring to the place where the scissor cuts. There's a little wedge that you can use as a reference. And now I have set it up to 15 millimeter from here to here. And I need to go back, turning the wheel manually so I can find the place where I unscrew it and screw the screw back. And remember, you have to make it tight, because when the machine moves and vibrates really fast, sometimes it can cause the some parts that are not tightly secured to come out of the machine. It is fine if you can put it back, but sometimes you might not know how to put it back properly. So you need to remember to put them back, screw it down really, really tight. And after you have done that, I want you to go back to where you are, where the scissor comes all the way out. And you can see this is in one line, and the scissor comes all the way out. And then take the smaller hexagon screw bolt opener, and you need to open the two small ones in the front. So take both of them out, and don't forget where you put it. You need to change the canvas holder's distance from the spring. This is a spring, and this is the canvas holder. You need to make their distance be less than 3 millimeters, between 2 to 3 millimeters. So I'm measuring it like this. And I need to bring it up a little bit because previously I was using 16. And also the similar way for the spring, it's better if you just give it a light tap, and it should move little by little. And try to be as precise as possible. And after you have make sure it's between 2 to 3 millimeters, you can screw the bolt back on. Okay, when you finish putting the bolt back on, I want you to move the needle to the front, meaning on your right side of the gun, the wheels aligns with the arm, but the arm is in the back. So the needle is all the way out and the scissor is all the way back. And because we have changed the distance between the canvas holder and the gun itself, so now the needle, there's a hole in the center, that's where you feed the yarn. It should always align with the canvas holder or a little bit to the front. And now I can see it's a little bit in the back. So I need to change the position of the needle to make it a little bit higher. And to change this, with all the rest of the gun at its position, meaning the needle is at the front, I'm turning to the left side of the gun and to this cam wheel in the front. I'm taking my screwdriver and opening it. And take it completely out. And there are several parts when you open it. There's a wheel and there's a filler square. And there is a yarn holder. The thing about this wheel is that you can change its length by screwing in and out. See? By changing in and out. And so because we want the needle to be a little bit in the front, so I am moving this part front and back. Here, because there is no bearing wheel, it's completely free. And because I wanted to change it to the most frontal position, so I'm pushing this all the way to the front. And you can see now the yarn hole is in the same level with the yarn holder, the canvas holder. And when I'm sure it is at the right position, because remember, this might not be in the outermost front position if the canvas holder is in the back. So just remember it. So you can't always push this to the most frontal position. So when I'm set, all I need to do is to put it back. So I am seeing here my arm is a little bit longer, so I'm turning it clockwise because righty loosey. Turning it one more so that I know it's tight and I know the screw will fit into the into the bolts. And I'm just putting it back. The first is the yarn holder and this going through this and the square and this. And unscrewing it together, making the canvas holder at the right position. And very importantly, you need to tie it really well. Do a little bit half twist when you already feel the pressure. You'll make sure it's very tight. So after that, I need to push the button and keep rotating it to make sure in the movement, the manual movement is still smooth. You might realize that when you move it manually, the scissor doesn't close when all the way down. Well, here mine is already good, but if your scissor doesn't open all the way, or your scissor just not open as big as you want it to be, there is a very quick fix for that. So first, you need to open the wheel on the back. And why moving it in the back instead of the front is pretty important, because I can show you when I open it. You can see here, this little leverage allows you to make sure that your scissors position is changed without changing the length of the arm. So you can still reach the scissor all the way to the front and all the way to the back. So what you need to do is to make sure the position for scissor all the way down should be here. When I can align, you can see they all align to each other. But because I'm already loosening this one, so it doesn't really show if the scissor is in and out. So you just need to remember, because when you pull the scissor all the way down, and you can check the scissor is open here. And you basically have to adjust. Let me show you. So if you move this part up and down, you can see the scissor being opened in and out. And you have to look at it carefully. So when the scissor is open to its largest part without having a lot of friction to the edge, that's the ideal part for it to be landing. So you can, this has not changed, and you just can move this back and forth so that you can fix it onto it. You can put the rest of the bolts on and try it again. It should run smoothly. After you have changed everything, it might still happen when you're trying to move this wheel. Even with the button release, it's still stuck at somewhere. This happens because when you change the arm's new location in the wheel, it doesn't feel right. You can try to, at the place that's stuck, to release, to open this hexagonal bolt again, and just like wiggle around and put it back and try everything again. Or you can just loosen it up and do everything again with some small adjustments to the position of the arm's place. A little bit of change will just change everything, so don't worry if it got stuck. Another thing might happen after you've done everything, run smoothly, but you might see that the scissor that comes out doesn't go all the way up or doesn't close all the way up. This might be because you accidentally changed the length of the bearing arm. So it either get this bolt here either got loose, or you might just turn it in the wrong way, or anything else. So you might need to reclose the scissor. To do that is pretty much similar to how to open the scissor. So you loosen this part, and in the position when the scissor is out, when you loosen this part, when it doesn't close all the way, you should unscrew this. And instead of doing nothing to the length of the arm, you should change the length of the arm to adjust to the scissor pushing all the way forward. So when it's closed completely, you need to let your arm to go and reach the hole over here. And after that, tied everything up and coming back to its open position all the way in the back, and do the adjustments only in this part all over again. And that should fix all the problem that you might face. One more important advice is the canvas holder. It is not a perfect 90 degree, but instead it should be slightly less than 90 degree. You will see the immediate change if you change this angle slightly with a plier, and you will see the tuft result is more smooth and is clinging more closely to the backing cloth. And also you can push more forward without getting a big feedback. So if your tufting surface is loose, it might be helpful to use a plier to bend this little bit inside.